That song you love is on right now, not later, not on a playlist, not something you have to pay for. I mean live, right now. That's called radio. In Seattle, that's called Warm 106.9.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Staying Power. This is a show that is all about building a better life. And who doesn't want that? Everybody you know, including you, wants a better life. So how do we do that? Well, every week for an hour, we talk about how you can do that. We pick one thing about building a better life, and we hope that the conversation resonates with you and you can apply it in your own life. And we're very happy to have you here. Who is we? If you're brand new, you don't know. I am JDK Winnikin, and with me, I mean, really, the show doesn't work without her. It really doesn't. It would just be me talking, and nobody wants that. Although everybody would love a show of just Ashley talking, I think, on some level. I've just ruined the intro. It is Ashley Kniebel, the one, the only. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Are you glad you don't have to talk for a whole hour?
I don't know. I've never done a solo episode.
Oh, we may have to throw that at you.
I believe there would be some nerves in the beginning. Not sure how to, stumble my way through the introduction of the show and whatnot. But I'm sure once I got underway,
you'd be fine.
I'd be fine.
You'd be fine.
I've had to sit across from you for almost 2 years.
Oh my
how
goodness.
to do this?
To do. Yeah, she's had to.
Had to. Yeah, such a struggle.
Anyway, well, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. Yeah.
Doing well.
Yeah, the weather up here in the Pacific Northwest is finally turning warm and sunny and bright.
So pretty.
I know. And there's plenty of light. If you're not from the Pacific Northwest, you don't realize that really what the big issue is up here, besides the rain that people complain about, it's the light, the lack of light in the wintertime. So when the light shows up, that's pretty good. I'll put up with drizzle and some gray if there's more light.
Yeah.
What about you?
It is kind of interesting to see the difference in people and their interactions and their moods.
Mm-hmm.
When the sun comes out, it's like you see a totally different side of people. And it's a great side to see. So
sure,
we're
absolutely.
Here for it.
Absolutely. So, well, wherever you are, wherever you're listening or however you're listening, or maybe you're watching on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you miss any of this episode or would like to catch up on our many other episodes of Staying Power, you can get this as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And that's really true. We also have a YouTube channel, Staying Power Show, and you can find in all the show notes at those locations, as well as on our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW, all the ways you can correspond with Ashley and myself directly. That could be through social media. That could be through our email, stayingpowershow@gmail.com. And there is more to come. So we hope that you enjoy this. We hope that you reach out. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to get ideas for shows, so many different things, because that's really what this is about connecting over ways which we can just make our lives better. I know. I got to go through all this stuff. Ashley's making fun of me. For those of you brand new, this happens on the regular. All right. So, Ashley.
Yeah.
For today's topic.
Yeah. This was your topic.
I know. Ashley's been on a run for about a month of episodes that were hers. I know. So tonight is mine.
Months.
All right, Ashley.
Yeah.
Do you have people in your life, either currently or in the past, who, no matter what they do, something about them just irritates you beyond belief? Rub you the wrong way.
Yes.
Yes. We're not naming names. And those, listeners, don't name names in your own life either. But, okay, so you know what I'm talking about, right? Have you ever kind of examined that and been like, what is it that really bugs me about this? Do you do that on the regular?
I have.
Yeah?
I have much more in my adult life than I did in my younger juvenile, early 20 days.
Sure.
But yes, I do. I try to see if there's something I should be learning before I completely write them off.
Right. Something you could be learning, like what?
Well, I mean, if there is a reason that they are irritating me, one, I look at the reason, like what is it? Or if it's a multiple of reasons, like what are they? And why do they irritate me?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a habit that is so different from my habits that I'm like, this is annoying? Or do I see them doing things that, to me, in my perspective, is not a good thing or not a healthy thing? Or do they do things that, to me, I find really disrespectful to humanity and society and the community? It kind of depends on what it is. But
of course,
there are times when it seems more of like a trivial irritation, then I'm like, okay, do I have a really short fuse? Why does this irritate me so much? And then the more I start to question that, the focus becomes less on that person and whatever they're doing. And it starts to turn more inward to me of like, why am I irritated? What is this doing for me? And why am I like so tripped up over this?
Right. So you end up taking a look at yourself.
Usually.
In on that. Okay.
I mean, I'm great to look at, so I tend to look at
myself. You are. And if
I look for the bad. It's in there.
If you haven't watched episodes of Staying Power, you can watch it on YouTube and see what she's talking about. She's not lying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's not lying. Now, the reason I asked that question is I came across on the show. I've talked about Anthony DeMello, one of my favorite writers and philosophers and thinkers. He passed away way back in 1987. And he wrote a number of books in his life. He was a Jesuit priest who was actually from India originally. And so he had this very interesting blend of the traditions he grew up in, more Eastern traditions, and then, of course, the discipline in which he studied and dedicated his life, right, being a Jesuit priest, into a kind of a way of looking at the world that has really resonated with me and helped me a lot in life. And every once in a while, I mean, I've read everything he's written, right? And a lot of it I've read multiple times. And still every once in a while, something that he said comes out of nowhere, like on social media, or I pick up the book and I open the page and it's right there. Some just comes up and punches me in the face. And that happened this week when I read this quote, which is why I asked you that question.
Okay.
He wrote, "Consider the possibility that what you see as a defect in another person may not be a defect at all, but a mirror unto yourself."
Oh.
Yeah.
Now I see why you had that question.
Right. Because it jumped up at me. This happens to me when I do the same thing you do. Like if there's something or someone who consistently seems to be producing a response in me, either internally, externally, that seems beyond the offense, like I'm spending too much time on it, I end up wondering what it is.
Okay.
Right. So, and then of course there's a number of different sayings, right? You point the finger at somebody else, there's three fingers pointing back at you, right? This is not new wisdom in that sense. You know, when DeMello's talking about what we're talking about, there is something to be said that sometimes the things that annoy us in other people are actually the things that we don't like about ourselves. Do you think that's true?
That we don't like about ourselves?
Or we're worried that might be kind of how we are, or something in us that is unresolved, or...
I could see that, like an unresolved thing.
Okay.
I could relate to that.
Okay, you can relate to that. Okay. Well, certainly like Carl Jung and others, you know, always talked about how projection is attributing to others what we don't recognize or accept in ourselves, right? So things like, I'm worried this person's always talking about me. This person's always talking about me. It's always talking about me. Well, are you the one who's talking about a lot of other people? Right? And because of that, you have this concern about somebody else doing what you already do. It's why I always talk about with clients, like, look, here's the thing with people who chronically lie. They think everybody else chronically lies too, right? So they kind of tell on themselves with that projection, right? That kind of thing. I've been dealing with this a little bit lately.
Oh, you have? This is hitting close to home?
Yeah, it does.
Punching you in.
Right. And a little bit. And it doesn't mean that everything we dislike about somebody means really you just dislike it about you. That's overly simplistic. What I'm interested in talking about is how do we wrestle and work with that dynamic, right? Because like, how do we know? Something that, like you're talking about, somebody being genuinely offensive, right? Might just be about that.
Right.
May not necessarily or immediately be a reflection on something that you do or believe or, you know, you're projecting. It doesn't mean that. But strong emotional reactions to things, whether it's seeing something in yourself or not, does beg the question, why aren't you paying attention to this? If you're having a strong emotional reaction to something, we both as coaches usually pick up on the fact that, okay, there's something in there. There's something in there. Okay, so that's what I thought we would talk about.
All right.
Okay, so you don't have any of this going on recently?
How recent? I mean, yes, not that I have a lot of people in my Rolodex that I'm like, oh, they're so irritating. But I've had a couple of instances semi-recently, maybe over the last couple of months, where said people have done things. And I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
And it has caused like a very emotional response out of me of like frustration or anger or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And at least in that situation, at least the first one that comes to mind, it's because their actions grate so heavily against a standard that I have for myself. And their lack of taking ownership is even more infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Not only like what they're doing is annoying and frustrating, but then the fact that they're reckless about it is like even worse.
Got it.
And more frustrating.
Got it. So, but that doesn't sound though like the only point of comparison there would be that's not the standard you have.
Right.
So do you then go, okay, am I sure I'm keeping that standard? Do you ask yourself that?
I didn't ask that. It was actually kind of a good reminder to me. This instance was more of a reminder of like, oh, this is why I have that standard, because I don't want to be like you.
Got it.
I might have been like you when I was younger, in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I outgrew it. This said person is older than I am, and they have not outgrown it. And, you know, we all blossom and bloom at different paces. But there are certain attributes and characteristics that fall under the good human isms that you have in life. And you would think that when you mature and you decide you want to be a good human, that you kind of leave some of this stuff in your juvenile days.
You'd think. And certainly we all have this battle going on of where do we grow and where do we not, right? And some areas of us grow more in a mature direction than others at different paces and that type of thing. I have a similar thing going on probably in the last few months as well. And in my case, what I've realized is that what has driven me up the wall about this particular person is I remember being that way once upon a time.
Really?
Back in my running and gunning days, right?
How old were you?
Oh, this was me back in my 30s.
Okay.
Right? My 30s. Yeah, mainly my late 20s and 30s. Those were the rough years. Those were the addiction-laden years. And so I think in part, I recognize things, right? When you've been as good as I was at once upon a time of being really covert, right? You start to recognize the tells.
Oh, sure.
Or you can, or at least the suspicions thereof, right? Like, that seems familiar to me and I'm not quite sure I buy it, right? That type of thing. And in this case with one particular person, I think it was really trying for me because there was something in that just reminded me of me once upon a time. No, but that's not the only time that's ever happened. So what was it about this particular one that was so, I don't know, so strong, right? Or had this stronger reaction. And it's taken me a long time to figure those things out, right? Figure that out. And I think the answer for me on that one was I haven't been in close proximity with somebody who reminded me of that version of me at the intensity that I was at, that I remember, in a long time. But then I had to get to a point where I was like, okay, hold on. This might be where I'm projecting.
Okay.
I don't know that for sure with this other person. I might have that sense. I might wonder. I might think I'm right, but I don't know I'm right.
Sure.
Right? So if I'm going to be a decent human being, one, I shouldn't just assume that. But here's the second piece that has taken me a long time to get to, and it's one reason why I felt comfortable talking about it. I had to find the space of, let's say that is true. And that is what's going on in this person's life. And I do remember what that was like. Maybe I should be more compassionate. Because if I'm right, that person is going through hell in their life.
Sure.
And they're just not showing anybody that. And probably nobody sees it because they won't let them. And then that comes back to me, it reminds me of how I felt back then and how lucky I was to eventually get out of that. And yet, to get out of that, things had to crash and burn.
Right.
Right. I certainly don't want another human being to crash and burn. You see the cycle
Sure.
that I ended up on?
Well, I would imagine then it's a confliction of, do I reach out and try and offer a compassionate hand to this person and say like, hey, I've been there and there is a way to be better and there's a way out of this, and, you know, try and offer them, because there are some lessons that people just have to learn. Like they will not hear it.
Yeah.
until they go through it.
Yeah.
Or does it, I imagine that comes up, is like, can I help this person? Should I help this person? Would they want my help? Is this something I need to wipe my hands and let them, unfortunately, kind of burn their way through?
Yeah. Yeah. And would they even be ready? Like, I mean, would they even be willing?
Yeah.
Right. And I have asked myself those questions, and I reached the conclusion of, no, I'm not going to offer yet, for a lot of different reasons. Where I ended up with was, this person knows where I've been, knows what I've worked on, knows how I view things. If they want that and they ask for it, I'll be willing to listen and consider and offer it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds, I don't mean that to sound as arrogant as it might sound. It's not like I got a million different things that can fix somebody's life. I'm talking about just being willing to connect and say, okay, if you think I can help you, or I think I can suggest some things, or you think, you can connect with me on something, sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it can do. In the end, every person has to do their own work. Right. But that's been where the battle has been for a while.
Very interesting.
Yeah, the work. So anyway, I thought we would talk a little bit about that and how that works. And of course, I dug up the neuroscience and all that.
Always.
Kind of stuff. I know, but you learn so much. Admit it. You learn so much.
I'm just trying to be like the people listening. You probably don't know it either.
Well, I'm learning it all for the first time too when I dig all stuff. So,
I'm glad you're digging.
I know. Hopefully everybody else is too. All right, let's go ahead and take our first break here on Staying Power. When we come back, before we dig into this further, we will have our weekly segment where we each take a couple minutes and talk about something that happened during the week. This week, it is 2 minutes of triumph. We're excited about that. So come on back for that here in just a minute on Staying Power. On Staying Power, we talk a lot about building a better life.
And a big part of that is the space you live in every day.
That's why we're excited to partner with Pars Revive Renovation, helping homeowners across the East Side and Puget Sound create spaces that truly reflect who they are.
Whether it's a kitchen, bathroom, or full home renovation, Pars Revive focuses on thoughtful design, quality craftsmanship, and your unique vision.
Because just like personal growth, your home should evolve with you.
To learn more, visit parsrenovation.com. That's PARS renovation.com and start building a space that supports the life you want to live.
Don't ask me to talk.
There's a lot of talk out there. Political talk, sports talk, girl talk, trash talk, and so on. But there's only one, Don't Ask Me to Talk, helmed by conversational off-roaders and podcast pals Eric Ryder and Stacy Heller. They follow every tangent they encounter, from cultural blind spots to their infamous weekly Wheelo topics. Listen wherever you listen to your fave podcasts. Subscribe and share too. Or tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. or Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KKNW.
Make us part of your daily routine. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hello.
And we are talking about, I guess, the things that annoy us or drive us batty and other people that may have something to do with ourselves. And how do we navigate through that, right? So that's what we're talking about this week. And again, before we keep going with that, we have a segment to do. We also want to make sure that we thank our sponsor.
Yes, we have a sponsor.
We do, yeah.
We have a sponsor.
We do, and they're great. Pars Revive Renovation, which is a home renovation company here in the Puget Sound area, working a lot on the east side of Seattle. That's on the other side of Lake Washington, for those of you who haven't been here before. But they do amazing work. As Staying Power is about kind of improving ourselves on the inside as people, Pars Revive Renovation is about improving those external spaces on the inside, right? And they do beautiful work. You can check out their work at parsrenovation.com. That's PARS renovation.com. And you can see their work. Thank you to them for sponsoring us. And more to come about them coming up pretty soon. So excited about it. So thanks to them. Let's jump into our weekly segment. Ashley and I live active lives. We have triumphs. We have terrors. We have everything in between. We like to talk about them. This week, it's triumphs. 2 minutes. Here we go. There we go. My, oh my.
And JD was so happy with that reference.
Of course. Yes. Go ahead.
Little sporty fanatic.
Yeah, that's
over there.
right. That's right.
Okay,
Mariners
well,
legend.
my triumph this week, actually, it's a bit of a triumph for the entire month, but I'm so excited because I have a lot of like really fun things coming up in this month. I realize the month of May is just excruciatingly busy, but all of good things. I'm going to so many different live music shows this month that I don't think I've ever really tapped into the local live music scene.
Yeah.
Nearly, like I have started getting into it the last year, and specifically the beginning of this year, it's just kind of ramped up. And now I'm actively hunting around, being like, oh, who's playing this weekend and where? And like exposing myself to other types of music that I don't normally listen to. And it's awesome. I'm having such a great time.
Any particular band you would recommend?
I'm a huge fan of Secret Skill. If you haven't seen their stuff, it's good.
They are
have
good.
A lot of local shows.
They are good.
There is Prom Date Mixtape is good.
Prom Date Mixtape. That's a good name.
That's a good one. Dark Wave is actually great. It's like total grungy 80s, and I am so here for it.
Nice. Well, they all just got free advertising on this
because
show.
Of me.
Because of Ashley. I've only heard of those three. I've only heard Secret Skill. They're very good.
Well, we can link some of the stuff.
We should. We will
here.
do that. We will do that because that's the great thing about music. You don't have to be local anymore to hear it, right? So, all right. So that's your triumph. So you're getting out.
I'm getting out.
Yeah, and your ears are
You might see
getting
me
damaged.
bouncing around at some shows. Yeah.
Are you a big dancer? Like you bounce around?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You ever mosh pit? Like run around, hit people?
I have been, the people have tried to pull me into them, but usually it doesn't end well for me. So I try not to.
You would think it wouldn't end well for them with your jujitsu skills.
I mean, well, yes, but I'm usually a lot smaller than the rest of them. So it's really easy for me to get crushed.
Right. Yeah. Always never good to get crushed.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. That's always good.
Yeah.
You feel like you're
It's a good
flexing that
time.
muscle. That's very
Thanks.
good. All right.
What you got?
My triumph actually was kind of a longer transition as well. I've talked a few weeks ago that I'm in the middle of a move. I'm doing a lot of transitions in my life. And there was this really scary period where just the way my move worked, I had to pay on 3 pay periods in my life, 3 months of rent rather than having like a month cycle of 2 payments.
Yeah.
Pay rent. I had to pay 3 in a row because I was transitioning from one place to pay one last month. And then
first and last.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this is a lot.
Costly.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to juggle it. Right. And my triumph is I made it through.
You juggled?
I juggled.
Wow.
I made it through. Yes. And I have through on the other side and it feels really good. And boy, moving sucks. I have not moved. I had not moved in 8 years.
Hold on.
It's rough.
Which part of moving sucks?
All of it does. The process itself does. Right? Packing things
it up and putting it in.
Lugging around,
okay.
throwing stuff away, choosing what you want.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. The decision making of what I keep and what I toss is rough. That's very exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
But packing up your stuff and then loading it up in said moving vehicle and then unloading it is a great workout.
It is a great workout.
There's usually donuts. So I don't understand where the problem is.
They're usually donuts, not pizza.
Whenever I mean, it's either or.
Right.
I feel like people move first thing in the morning, like they start early. And so I'm always the one bringing donuts and then usually pizza's at the end.
Oh, see, I like how you're double dipping here. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
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 No.
Anyways, I don't think there's anything wrong with moving.
Yeah. Okay.
Saying.
Okay. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Now, what I did like about it was I found stuff that I hadn't seen in years. Like, whoa, where was that? I totally forgot I had that.
Taking you a month to move.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a long process, but the triumph is it's over.
It's done.
It's done.
You're
And I
nestled in your new
successfully navigated it, which means I can get back to financial predictability, which is nice.
I need to get you a housewarming gift.
Okay. Sure. Do you want like a list of stuff?
No.
No?
You want a toaster?
No, I already have a toaster. I don't need a toaster.
Okay.
You know what I want, actually?
Huh.
I want one of those new like smart projectors that you can attach to your phone and it points it up and you can like watch TV on your wall.
Oh.
I want one of those.
Okay.
Those are
Do you
cool.
have a wall in your place that this would work?
I have a wall in my place. Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a whole wall in my? I've got a lot of walls.
I don't know. Do you
in my
have
place.
art? Anyways, we are so far beyond
I think
our
I've got
topic
4,
of our
5,
episode.
6, 7, 8 walls.
This is turning into JD's
Turn
place.
corners. Anyway, all right. So, hey,
Moving on.
part of building a better life is learning to laugh.
You know what?
Right?
You at least know a lot of good people that can help you with the interiors of
I
your
do.
place. So.
I do. And thanks to all the people who helped with moving, because, that is the thing. When you have community, they help, right? Thanks to
It
all
takes
the
a village to
takes a
move,
village
JD.
to move. It does. Oh, Ashley, it's a good thing you laugh at your own jokes. Of course, other people are too. All right. So Nathan's dying behind the board over here. So, all right. Anyway, can we keep going?
We can.
All right. While you compose yourself, let's go ahead and get back to this discussion about why other people can really kick us off on, and a lot of people use the word trigger. Trigger is kind of an overused word.
It's a triggering word.
Challenge the triggering word. Yeah. It gets overused. It does have validity in certain circumstances. But in this case, we're talking about the things like, to what degree is DeMello right, or Carl Jung and others, that projecting out like the things that really drive us crazy about other people are things that are actually driving us crazy about ourselves. And you're right. You said at the very top of the show, it depends on what it is, who it is, what's going on. So there's no one size fits all, or no one solid rule that shows this, or no one clear percentage over another. But what we do know is that this is kind of hardwired into us. That's a big thing that's on the show. We talk about on the show a lot. The brain has to turn things into patterns for us to make sense of things, right? It's how it separates, just on a basic level, what is safe for us to do and what is not safe for us to do. It is safe for us to get into the car and buckle our seatbelt. It is not safe to walk into the street in front of a bus. So it allows us to get in a car and buckle our seatbelt. It tends to keep us from stepping out in the middle of the street in front of a bus. Right? So it organizes patterns, threats, non-threats, right? Appealing things, not appealing things. And the brain categorizes things quickly. It labels things as good or bad, safe or not safe, annoying, not annoying, productive, not productive. And it uses past conditioning to interpret current behavior in ourselves as well as in other people.
That is really interesting.
Right? It does. And this happens fast, and it happens below our conscious awareness. And that's an important thing. That is why it's so important to have conversations like this, because this is going on in the background as part of our standard operating system, right? We don't think about all the standard operating systems our computer is running when we're using it. We're just using it for what we use it.
Right.
But there's a million other things going on. This is the part of that same process. And we learn early when we're young what is acceptable and what's not.
Sure.
You mentioned standards before, like what are our standards? We are raised with certain standards, right? Some people have standards that are higher, some are lower, and then of course, as we get older, we differentiate, we individuate from our families, and we decide what it is that actually means something to us as opposed to somebody else. And we go through all of that, right? So we learn things like, and listeners, ask yourself, what are the things that your brain tells you are, for example, too much? What are the things or people that are not enough? The associations we have. If you're loud, you're rude. If you express emotion, deep emotion, emotional expression, that some people can call that weak. Confidence, some people see as arrogance, right? Sometimes, and I think this is important, sometimes what we're reacting to is not the other person, right? What we're reacting to on some level is our conditioning that associates another person with something we have been conditioned to believe is right or wrong.
That's really interesting.
What I like about that, what I liked about it too, is that looking at it that way kind of makes it free of judgment of the other person and frankly of ourselves. Right. So it can take it out of the realm of like, okay, if I realize I am looking at myself, boy, I'm such a scumbag. Why would I, or this other person is terrible and I should just dismiss them entirely. It keeps that out of there. Right. And so I think this framework allows us to start recognizing in ourselves some of the things that we elevate and some of the things that we repress. Like what feelings, Ashley, like, do you think like you kind of tamp down? You have them, but you tamp them down. Now it might be for good reason.
Sure.
Right. It might be because you're in a professional work environment or whatever. It's a family member. Some people don't worry about the family member, right?
I would say, at least in both of those, probably my quick, snarky, like fiery response that I usually have. If I get irritated, my default is to snap.
So anger?
I mean, maybe you would call it anger.
A form of it?
Yeah. I guess to me, it's just like an irritation.
Okay.
Like if something happens, like my quick response is to snap at it and in hopes to get it to go away very quickly.
So that impatience maybe.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Okay.
Impatience. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, impatience. I have that with some family members sometimes, and
Yeah.
I have to be like, nope, we're not putting that on display right now. We're gonna
Mhm.
grow some patience in this moment and exercise them real quick.
And just so you know, Ashley's got championship level Olympic gold medal snark when she lets it rip. She really does. And sometimes, and fortunately, it's usually not directed at me in any meaningful way other than just humor. But it's pretty stellar.
Oh,
Not gonna
thank
lie.
you.
Yeah, it's a good skill set, right?
It can
Right.
be. Sometimes it's called witty, which is good.
Sometimes it's called witty.
That's the compliment.
Other
I
times
have.
it's called soul crushing.
That's right.
But yeah. All right. So impatience. Any other ones?
Neediness. I
Oh, really?
don't like to be needy.
Okay.
I have been raised to be very independent since I was a kid. I was always innately independent, but I think that was recognized and then
Mhm.
like encouraged and whatnot. And to the point now where I very much am always doing all my own stuff, or I'm always taking care of myself, and it's always me. And not to say I'm not open to people taking care of me or helping or whatever, but my default is to, even when I'm like, I really wish somebody would take the reins today, there is an instant thing that steps in that's like, no, it's going to be you.
Right.
You're not going to let them know that you need help right
Got
now.
it.
And it's frustrating, actually.
I bet.
It is a conflict that, and I really don't enjoy having to deal with that response that comes up. That's like, no, you're not going to be needy today. I'm like, but I would like to be needy today.
Right. I'd like to have somebody.
I'd like to
somebody
be able
help.
to fall apart and know that someone's catching me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. Anger for me is one I can tamper down. We have that in common. Yours comes out as impatience. Mine can come out as a deep sense of injustice. Right. There are a lot of injustices out there that secretly boil me. Right.
Okay.
Some people it's not secret. Like to you, you know what they
Sure.
are. Right. Other people do. But just generally speaking, right. I don't talk about them very much. One for me is ambition.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What do you mean by that?
I'm actually really ambitious. I've got I want to do big stuff for myself. I really do. And yet admitting that out loud, I can feel it right now. Like I don't want to put that out there.
Why?
Because I think I've been conditioned over my life to see that as arrogance. If you're ambitious, you're arrogant and you're going to step on other people. Right? Or you're selfish. Right?
See that.
Yeah. Ambition. I
Yeah.
wrote a novel because I wanted to write it, but I wanted to be successful. And if I had my way in the world, that's all I would be doing. I'd be coming on this show with you once a week, maybe more often, talk about things we want to talk about and write books and, have a nice place looking over some body of water with a nice desk, do that. And that was it. And be able to make enough doing that I'd be comfortable. But if I can't do that, the other things, that ambition is a real thing. And I limit myself on this one. It's actually a topic that's coming up soon because I've got another topic for us down the road.
Seeing this.
Yeah.
Formulating now.
Yeah. Limiting ourselves, defining and redefining what's possible for us. I don't talk about ambition, because ambition is pride, right? Ambition is arrogance. Ambition is self-conceit.
Do you feel like you stifle that ambition because of fear of failure and stuff too?
In part. And I associate, if those things indeed are selfishness, arrogance, stepping on other people, I did all of that once before in completely different context. Not a context of ambition, but a context of addictive behavior and self-destruction. The possible reminder of that, being anywhere near that, is scary, is very scary. So again, not conscious, but you're asking me to make it conscious, and that's kind of where I went. And I went there so fast that I know now that, that's right there, right? I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be associated myself, and maybe there's some fear there that I would somehow get dragged back into that if I let myself be ambitious. Can you be ambitious and hopefully have humility? I grew up thinking I don't think you can, right? But I think about it. So that's one I kind of keep down as well.
Okay. The things we're learning.
Well,
I didn't know that.
Well, and these are the things that Carl Jung called the shadow. There's a lot of work, a lot of
Yes.
discussion today. Yeah, you're recognizing it. Shadow work.
Yes.
it's become a buzz term, right? And everywhere you look on social media and elsewhere, regular media, you see like do shadow work. And I actually am a believer in that. I think there's real value in recognizing that shadow. And everybody talks about it's like your internal demons. Sort of, maybe, kind of, not really. It's the things about ourselves we keep in the shadows that we keep pushed down, that nobody sees. That doesn't mean somehow it's nefarious or deadly or dangerous to us or other people. But the problem is when we tell ourselves, like maybe we're looking at somebody and they're doing something that on some level we recognize that we do, and we say, that's exactly what I do and I don't like it. Mm-hmm. Shame, defensiveness, judgment, those things all come up, right? With those things. And so that when those things happen, it all of a sudden it puts us in misalignment, right? We think we're a certain way. We want to be a certain way. We're only allowing certain parts of ourselves to be seen, right? Maybe for good reason, or maybe for reasons that we can explain, like we just did. But then something like this comes along, somebody just driving us crazy or something like that. And it's suddenly forcing that shadow stuff, maybe, to the surface, right? And for me, the challenge is going from that part of like, God, this person's driving me nuts, and making the laundry list of reasons why it's okay for me to be outraged, right? To why is this taking such a toll?
Right.
What is going on with me? And it probably has nothing to do with them.
Maybe not.
Right. Probably has nothing to do. So, yeah. So anyway, thoughts on this before we take another break?
I think it's fascinating stuff, and it's very relatable, obviously, like we both have experiences with this, but there's just, it always comes to my mind as you were talking about how, like, the people that we were talking about earlier that come to mind, that sometimes as I have gotten older and I've learned things and I see these people and I get to know them and I learn more of them and about them and what they've gone through, and not to say that you can like just look at somebody and like, oh, well, I know what's wrong with you because like, no, but when I hear certain things, I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense, that this is how you have grown up and this is what you have become because of certain things. When I recognize that, there is always a level of compassion that comes up.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'm like, you need to lean into that compassion, Ashley, and lean out of your frustrations a little bit more. Yeah.
And what does that, when you do that, what does that do for you?
It helps me pause and recalibrate myself a little bit. And then it does help me question a little bit more of like, okay, well, now that you're looking at them from a slightly different perspective, a little bit of a softer approach, how can you just help support them? What can you do that would be beneficial to them, as opposed to leaning into my emotions of it and being like irritated or frustrated or, impatient.
Right.
All of a sudden I'm like, we're going to be a little more patient today. I don't know about tomorrow, but we're going to start with today. Today I'm being patient.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're describing is a steadily letting go of the energy that comes with that, right? Because we can get hijacked by this stuff pretty quick without knowing that. And so that's kind of you releasing the reins in that sense. I think that's great. That is actually in brain speak. That's moving from the amygdala response to the prefrontal cortex response.
Moving around.
Yep, moving around from the base to the front. Right. Anyway, all right. Time for another break here on Staying Power. When we come back, as always, we like to spend the last segment of each show talking about some practical things that we can do to kind of work through some of these things. And hopefully you have some ideas of how this looks in your life. When we come back, hopefully we add more to that. You can take that into your week. So we'll be right back here on Staying Power. Stick around.
If you've been thinking about upgrading your home, this might be your sign.
We're proud to be sponsored by Pars Revive Renovation, serving Bellevue, the East Side, and the greater Puget Sound.
They specialize in turning everyday spaces into something functional, beautiful, and tailored to you.
From kitchens and bathrooms to full renovations, they bring the same level of care and attention to detail that we talk about here on Staying Power.
Because your environment matters. It shapes how you feel, think, and live.
Check them out at parsrenovation.com. That's PARS renovation.com, and see what's possible for your home.
Hey, JD, do you want to have a better life?
Yeah. Doesn't everybody?
Yes, we do. How do I go about doing that?
A good place to start would be listening to our new show, Staying Power.
What's it about?
It's about all the ways we can overcome the challenges that we sometimes put in front of ourselves to live a better life.
Where can I find it?
You can listen to it on 1150 AM KKNW every Wednesday at 4 p.m. and Fridays at 9 a.m. or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's do this together every week on Staying Power.
Wherever you go, Alternative Talk 1150 is here for you.
Welcome back to Staying Power. JD here with Ashley.
Hi.
And we are talking about, but it's kind of hard to describe in some ways.
What are we talking about?
What are the things that other people, when we have negative reactions to other people, what might they bring up in ourselves? And hopefully we've talked about it in a nuanced way that makes sense to everybody, and also have to stress the point that this happens to all of us, not because there's something wrong with us morally or ethically, but because this is hardwired into how our bodies do business, right? How our brains do things. So we just have to work with that, right? As opposed to working against it. All right. So in the time we've got left, Ashley, let's talk a little bit about, you kind of hinted at it, right? At the end of the last segment. What do you do, right? When you recognize that something might be kicking this off for you. And the way you described it was really good to start, pausing. We've talked on this show many times about the power of the pause, right? Pause. So when you paused, what'd you ask yourself with those things?
Well, I paused and then started to question, where is this coming from them? And again, like, what is it that's bothering me about the fact that they're acting this way or what they're doing? And then I started to look a little bit deeper into them. Like I said, at the end of the last segment, do I recognize something in there that maybe they haven't worked through, they don't know they need to work through, that this is a coping mechanism for them on something, and this was the result of it, or this was the best way that they knew how to cope. And if it was something like that, then I'm like, okay, who am I, almighty over here, to judge so harshly somebody like that? And maybe I should lead with compassion and lead with some patience and remove the feelings from it and kind of take myself out of it. And like, they're being them. And sometimes it can rub me the wrong way. But why am I making it so much about me? Like, when did I show up and why is this about me all of a sudden? Now it's about me because I live in this body and I'm feeling what's happening when they're, irritating me or whatnot. But usually I'm like, okay, it's not about me right now. Let's make it about them and see what's going on with them. And is it, after a bit of time, people's colors really do show through. And sometimes I'm like, are they just being a jerk? And this is them, and this is really not worth my time, and I need to protect my space and my time and energy and not be around them. Or is it they're growing and they're learning, and maybe they are who I was, like you said, so many years ago. And if that was me, what would have been really helpful for me back then? Or who did I know back then that was a good influence, or who I looked up to back then, and how were they? And why did I find them to be such a good example? And what were the attributes that I was like, oh, wow, okay, I know I'm a mess and I'm struggling, but this person's great and I want to be more like them. Like, why did I want to be more like them? And then I think about that and then I'm like, okay, well, it's the same, but it's roles reversed now. I'm the other person, more than likely. And they are the younger version of me. And it's like, okay, when you see it from that perspective, all of a sudden that person looks very different. Yeah. And your internal reaction has slowed down, right? The intensity of it slowed down, right? The feeling in the body is slowed down. That's exactly it. That's exactly what one of the tactics involves here. Obviously. Pausing and naming the reaction. What is the reaction? What's the source of it? What exactly is it? Where do I feel it in the body? That's another one, right? I know. This is the part where Ashley rolls her eyes at me. This stuff matters. It happens. I'm like, JD's over here breathing and feeling out himself to figure out where he's feeling it. And I am. Is it here? Is it there? Yeah. I usually feel it in my chest or in my stomach. Chest, yes. In my chest or in the stomach. You have too. You just don't want to admit it. Yep. Do not. I don't nearly as much as you do. Yeah, I know. Well, maybe you should.
There's a little bit of judgment.
Why is there a should?
I don't know exactly the should. Here we go. Here we go. You also hinted at another one. Like, what does this have to do with you? Right? Because I like what you said. There's a flip side to this. It doesn't have to be all about you. Right?
Yeah.
You're right. And I think that's where people like Jung and maybe DeMello, not that they would disagree with that, but a lot of their wisdom, I think it gets channeled in that direction. It's always about you. It's always about you. It's always about you. No, it doesn't. Other people are other people. What we have control over is how we respond to that and how we react to that. And it doesn't have to be about us, right? Even if it turns out to be somebody, that doesn't mean you want to spend time around people. It doesn't mean it's a good fit, right? We only have so much time and so many people we can have in our lives at any given time, right? I think also too, one is how well can we separate the trait we see in somebody that might be setting us off from their expression of it. You kind of hinted at that.
That's really interesting.
Right. Like, because if they're coming from like a wounded place and need to feel like they have to prove themselves and they're coming across loud, arrogant, selfish, can we separate? The expression is grating, right? Not fun, not good to be around. Can we separate that though from, okay, they're really trying to project themselves, create a safe space around themselves. Separating those two can be helpful as well, right? I'm realizing as we go down this list, you pretty much have covered almost everything in one of these. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The one thing that I do think we can take a look at, and I wonder how often you do this, revisiting the conditioning that maybe we have. Does that something that when you're going through that process, do you revisit that? Like, how did I grow up with this, or how did I come to learn this or prioritize this? Okay.
And actually, funny, my brother and I do talk about this from time to time, probably because we were raised together. And so we're like, what was your experience with this? And not to say that we're sitting there just gossiping about our parents, but because when you're raised and you're growing up, it's not just your parental influence. It's your friends in your community and your church and your teachers and, all of the above, like coaches and whatever. And so a lot of times him and I will talk about things. Something will come up and then we'll be like, oh yeah, remember growing up this or that. And usually within that, at some point, I start to question of like, well, where did that come from? And who taught me this? And do I agree with it now that I'm an adult and I can think and speak freely for myself and I can shape my own thoughts and opinions on things at any given time? I can also change them, which means no matter what I was raised with and who taught me something was good or bad or whatnot, that's great. And if I want to agree with that because I'm convicted that it's right, that's even better. But I don't want to take it on because they said it was good or right. There are a lot of things that like, actually I do go back and start to think of like, who taught me this and why? Yeah. And do I believe in the why? Yeah. Did I believe in the why because I respected them? And it was mom and dad or somebody I really looked up to. So their word was gold and I just followed it.
Or maybe one time you really believed it and you've changed your mind since then. Might have been useful for a while, but ceased to be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's another one. Revisiting that is good. Another one, bring it back to DeMello here as we get towards the end. Anthony DeMello suggested in situations like this, you ask a simple question: what might be valuable here that I've been missing? Right? In this situation, in this reaction, in this response, in this exercise that I'm going through, what might be valuable here? And I think that's an open-ended question that can stay open-ended. I don't think it needs to become something where, it's this one thing. Could be this, could be this, could be this. The things that tend to come to mind for us when we ask ourselves questions like that tend to be things that have some truth to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to mind. Sure. Right? So we can spend time with those things. And sometimes the best way to answer them, like, what do I do with this? Right? Which is not what he's asking. It's just, what am I missing? What to do with this is just to simply acknowledge what might be valuable and let it exist. What's interesting is when we let these things exist, our ways of living in the world start moving in such a way that we incorporate those. We start living towards them, right? When we put them out there, right? It's, if you want to show up with more vulnerability in life, right? And be more vulnerable, more open, more authentic, you got to do things that make you vulnerable. Right. 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 And you can, in that sense, you may not feel comfortable doing it, but if you want to get more comfortable with it, put it out there and experience yourself expand towards it in your own life. I think it can really do that, because what we do when we ask that question, this is what I loved about DeMello's writing on it. It built three things. He said it builds empathy when we ask that question, right? What might be valuable here that I've been missing? It builds flexibility, right? In terms of how we think, how we look at other people, how we feel, to what degree we're judging ourselves or others. And it creates curiosity, right? Curiosity to me is such the game changer in all of these things.
Sure.
Because if we're curious, we suddenly become open to maybe some possibilities we hadn't thought of before.
Well,
right?
Curiosity is, I mean, what do you think of when you hear the word curiosity? Is there an image that comes to mind, a concept?
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
An eagerness to discover.
Okay, I think of a kitten, which is roughly the same thing.
I think of a little kid like exploring things for the sake of exploring it, and finding like a blade of grass to be the coolest thing he or she has ever seen in their life.
Well, yeah, obviously a stick was a sword.
Right.
Come on.
Lightsaber.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Of course.
Right.
But, of like, and I joke, but a kitten, because they're very curious and they're so playful. And that is, it's so silly. But when I have moments sometimes and I'm like, we're going to pause, the whole JD thing, we're going to pause.
Cat, pause.
And
We're going to pause.
There is no pun there, but thank you. But
There's the impatience, everybody. There it is right there.
But I'm like, let's pause and like a kitten, and turn that into something that is soft and playful and curious and is so enthralled and pure about wanting to learn something or are using their imagination to fill the gaps. And always it's with joy, it's with fun, it's with play, it's with good things.
Yeah, taking it in.
And so all of a sudden when you're in a situation and it's like very frustrating and you're feeling all these emotions, and if you can start to practice using the muscle of turning it into curiosity first, or trying to lead with curiosity first, it all of a sudden diffuses. And like you said earlier, you kind of let go of all those feelings. You let go of it. And then you can actually kind of see it for really what it is. And then maybe you'll see it and you're like, okay, no, I'm still feeling the same way, but you may not.
Or it may not hold the same energy.
Yeah, and you're like, it really wasn't nearly as big of a deal as I thought. Or, I, like you said in your example much earlier, is maybe this person is going through something and they're really trying to work this out. And maybe they're doing the best that they know how to do at the time. And some of us have kind of learned that lesson already. We've already worked through it. We've already made our mistakes and said our apologies and so on and so forth.
At least in that area of life.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And so we can see that and be like, I remember where I was at that point, and I'm going to give them a little grace, and I'm going to lead with a little more curiosity, and maybe I need to just remove myself from the situation if it is so problematic for me to not stand there and still be a good, decent human being while they're going through that.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Because that involves, another step. It involves giving grace to somebody else and also grace to yourself. I like that soften idea.
Thanks.
Yeah, the soften idea is a good one. Soften this, because we can get really hard edges, around these things and be really hard on other people and hard on ourselves. And that is right. And that is not what any of these thinkers we've talked about, DeMello, Young, any of them, or even people today are talking about. All right. Ashley, really good stuff. Thank you for diving into this with me.
Great episode, JD. Thanks for the topic.
You're welcome. Welcome. It's been a long time since I came up with one. About time I contributed something around here.
You always contribute so much.
So do you.
It really does. This show would not be it without you.
Well, I can say the same about you, and I can say the same about all of you out there listening or watching. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Staying Power. We're so glad you came along. We hope you find it useful in your life. Remember, if you miss any of this episode or any of our other episodes, we are, as a podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel, Staying Power Show. You can also find out more about us at our radio home, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. And in all those places in the show notes, you can find links to all the ways you can connect with us. You'll also find more information about our wonderful sponsor, Pars Revive Renovation. Thank you so much to them. Check them out at parsrenovation.com. And if you reach out to them because you think they can help you with redesigning your interior spaces, make sure you mention that you heard about them on Staying Power and see what happens. I think you'll like it. All right. So, Ashley, I will see you next week.
I'll see you next week.
All of you, we'll see you next week. I'm JD.
I'm Ashley.
Take care, everybody.